The San Francisco 49ers and Big Dom of the Philadelphia Eagles will forever be connected, and we're starting to find out more information about how seriously impactful Big Dom getting banned from the sidelines with his interaction with Dre Greenlaw. You guys remember that whole thing? Dre like pointing in his face. They both got ejected from the game. Big Dom was never able to return to the sideline for the regular season. And we know what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles. They spiraled out of control. And we've heard also, too, from two players, two offensive linemen, two of the most respected players within that locker room, Kelsey and their tackle Lane Johnson, talk about how the 49ers were really the reason why the Eagles kind of spiraled out of control.
Okay, explain to me what happened the last, 6-8 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as film piles up, and I feel like really after the 49ers game where, it's kind of them dismantling us, I felt like teams kind of piggybacked off that. So I don't know if it was something we were doing with our scheme-wise. Maybe the teams were on to what we were running. But it was a lot more difficult than what it needed to be because you've seen what the offense has been, and then you see that stretch, and it's, what's going on.
But is there one thing that you guys are looking at specifically as maybe this was the drop-off point, this was the change of where the season was going?
I mean, obviously the big turning point was the San Francisco game. I think before that, we were 10-1. So I think when you lose 6 or 7 games, it's very difficult. But I mean, everybody kind of did their own thing as to how they stopped us offensively. San Fran really didn't blitz. They played a lot of soft coverage and kind of just rushed for the last 2 weeks. Obviously, as everyone has seen, it's been a lot of pressure. So, I think wasn't the same process or method that stalled us out in all of those games. So, I think it's I don't know that there's any one thing that really sticks out. I think collectively just, never really got it going offensively after that.
So as you can see, obviously the 49ers going into Philadelphia and beating the Eagles the way they did, especially after all the talk in the offseason, was clearly detrimental to the Eagles' future. But it's actually coming out as a report, that Big Dom actually kind of kept Nick Sirianni in line. And because Big Dom wasn't there, basically Nick Sirianni and other coaches and players would get into it because Big Dom wasn't there to kind of play peacemaker. So this report is actually kind of crazy. And again, it's tied to the 49ers because without that situation with Dre Greenlaw and Big Dom, is this the impact of their season? It's absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at it. This is from Pro Football Talk. And there's apparently a conversation going on the FS1 show hosted by Craig Carton that basically talked about there was some issues that went on inside the building that really caused this dysfunction. And we're getting a report from an Eagles reporter named Derek Gunn, says the banishment of the Eagles security chief Dom DeSandro from the sidelines after he made contact with 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw during the December 3rd game against the San Francisco 49ers threw coach Nick Sirianni off balance. Gunn posted to X that Big Dom controls Sirianni's emotions on the sideline, and that in the absence, Nick gets in numerous arguments with players and coaches during the game. So that's crazy, right? Like how that situation with Dre Greenlaw just spilled over into so many different areas. for the Eagles, but the fact that it had a direct impact on the head coach throughout the rest of the season was pretty that's pretty wild, man. That's pretty wild to say that a guy like Big Dom controls Sirianni's emotions, and then after that all these other things have gone on. The article continues to say the Eagles went into a free fall after Big Dom's sideline suspension, which lasted for the rest of the regular season. The Eagles won only one more game and surrendered the division title to the Cowboys. After the lone victory on Christmas over the Giants, Sirianni admitted he was too tense during the game. Wow. Like, this is an actual report from a beat reporter who covers the Eagles, basically just discussing how obviously we heard how from both, Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey about the 49ers beating the Eagles and what impact that had. But again, the Dre Greenlaw, Big Dom situation on the sideline that went crazy viral, had everyone talking about it, also plays a apparently hugely impactful role on their continuity and sticking together throughout the season, and in fact did the opposite. They fell apart at the seams and just again won one game after beating after the 49ers beat them, in which I believe they were 10-1 up until that point. So one of the biggest collapses in recent memory in the NFL. You might even say in pro sports, just how an in-season collapse could happen like that and how the 49ers had their fingerprints all over it. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. What do you guys think of like all the comments? Again, this is past history. I don't think many 49er fans, 49ers players, or anything are concerned about the Eagles or thinking about the Eagles. It is just an interesting thing because we have covered the story all the way throughout and we've talked about what the Eagles players have said, but now we're getting this about Big Dom. I'm just throwing it out here, just sharing it with you. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting to see the Eagles collapse the way they did when they were talking so big and bad about how that was the 49ers. But hey, it is what it is. Just sharing the info. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.